first question is there year-round access to the property in both rainy season and dry season? And this seems like kind of a strange question because in North America, roads work, whether it's winter, summer, spring, rain, dry, roads work all year round. But in Latin America, a lot of the dirt roads, where a lot of the projects and developments are located along the beach especially, or up in the mountains, those roads look great in the dry season. In fact, when they're graded, you can drive 45 miles an hour on them, so you can really just zoom right along. But in the rainy season, many of these roads turn into mud pits where literally you have to get pulled out by a team of oxen because you're up to your axles in mud. And so one of the tips we have is if you're buying property at the end of a dirt road, buy it in the rainy season. Because when you buy property in the rainy season, you know how bad the road is going to get. And that's really important because you want to know that you can get to your property in the rainy season. The other thing is creeks and rivers, as they call them. A lot of rivers here, I would call them creeks. But anyway, growing up in northwest Pennsylvania. But these rivers/creeks run dry in the dry season, no water. And in the rainy season, there might be 8-10 feet of water in that thing rushing down. So again, these are the kinds of things you find out in rainy season that you would never know in dry season. So year-round access to the property is absolutely paramount for your quality of life satisfaction if you're an owner of a property at the end of a dirt road, which again, many communities and developments in Latin America on the beach or in the mountains especially are at the end of a dirt road because the government doesn't have the money to pave the roads like we do in North America and the US and Canada. A lot of times public road improvements are actually made by the developer, not by the government. I know in our case we've spent over $1 million fixing a public road so that we have the year-round access that's needed by our residents and neighbors at Grand Pacifica specifically and in the other communities that we're building as well. A lot of times in this part of the world you'll hear people talk about distances in miles or kilometers. But that's irrelevant. A distance is a time. How long does it take you to get from point A to point B? And it goes back to the idea of the dirt roads versus paved roads and what kind of conditions these roads are in. But at the end of the day, you want to know how long it takes to go from point A to point B. And so, yeah, finding out how far it is to the hospital, how long it will take you to get to the hospital, how long it'll take you to get to the grocery store, the bank. I mean, these are the kinds of things, again, that really factor into quality of life. And I know a lot of people who live in rural parts of the United States and Canada. I grew up in northwest Pennsylvania, and very rural. And for us to get to the grocery store was 15-20 minutes. No big deal. You jump in your car, you drive 15-20 minutes, you're at the grocery store. That is what's important, to feel what's your comfort level for how long it takes to get somewhere, and then make sure you're locating yourself where you feel comfortable. Question number 2 is, what does the infrastructure look like? Infrastructure is so important. In fact, my wife tells me all the time, don't talk about infrastructure. It's not sexy. And she's right. It's not sexy because many times the infrastructure is what's buried under the ground and you never see it again. But it's also the roads and the sidewalks and the street lights and all the things that are important for quality of life. And in fact, infrastructure is ultimately the most important thing for quality of life. One of the least sexy things that I can talk about is storm water drainage. Managing that, engineering that up front. Because here's the reality. In Latin America, in the tropics, we get rains. And when it rains, it can rain 3 or 4 inches in 3 or 4 hours. And when it rains 4 inches of rain in 3 or 4 hours, you got a ton of water going wherever it goes. It's so important for a developer to come in and engineer where that water's going to go. Put in the 24 and 36-inch storm drains under the streets to take that water and move it somewhere where the developer has decided it wants to go. Or the water's going to go where God wants it to go. And that might not be good for the home or the property that you have. If you're in the way of a big rushing wall of water every time it rains, that's not good. So again, infrastructure, so important, so critically important for your long-term satisfaction. Streets, right? Paved streets, dirt streets. What do you want? Make that evaluation. Buy what you see. You know, if you go to a development and they've got dirt streets and you're happy with that, great. If they got above ground electricity and telephone poles and wires running, great. If you prefer underground, you need to see it. Buy what you see. It's so important. Gonna. You'll hear me talk about more and more as we go through these questions, the word gonna. Gonna is the easiest word in the developer lexicon. We're gonna put in underground utilities. We're gonna build a swimming pool. We're gonna build a golf course. Gonna. Gonna doesn't matter. Buy what you see. If the land has underground utilities, it's worth the price with underground utilities. If the land is bare and nothing there, well then it's worth raw land. So again, at the end of the day, buy what you see is so important, because unlike the United States and Canada, where we have bonding requirements, developers have to bond for performance. They actually have to post money or post assets to say, yeah, we promised all these streets and sidewalks and all the clubhouses and all these amenities. We've bonded to perform. Well, in Latin America, there's no performance bond, so a developer can pretty much say whatever they want and deliver whatever they can. And I'm not saying developers come out and try to con people up front, although some do, but most don't. But the reality is that, you know, underfunding, lack of funding, inadequate funding really plagues the development industry in Latin America. So a developer with the best intentions in the world can talk about what they're gonna do, and they really, truly, I believe in their heart of hearts, believe they're going to do it. But the money runs short. They don't sell as many lots as they thought they were going to sell. You know, whatever. Some event happens to really stop the progress of their community. Well, you've already bought, you own, and now you may or may not have electric or streets or whatever it is. So buy what you see is probably the single most important aspect of the 15 questions. Because if you buy what you see, you'll always be happy with what you own. Is there enough fresh water and water pressure? Wow, this one's so, I don't know, seemingly trivial. But, you know, the reality is I don't know if you all have taken a drip shower. I've taken some drip showers in Central America, you know, different hotels. And they're no fun. I mean, you're up there, you're trying to get the soap off, and, right? Drip showers are no fun. Water pressure. My goodness, you're out snorkeling, you're out playing volleyball, you play golf, you ride horseback all day, you come back to your condo, turn on the water, you know, take a nice hot shower. My goodness, as crazy as this sounds, that's incredible quality of life. That's quality of life. And it's, you know, I think anybody can suffer through a drip shower for a week on vacation or a few days here and there. But if you own a home or a condo and you're going to live in this for the next 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, my goodness, you want water pressure. Water pressure is dependent upon the developer building the systems, the water systems, to produce it for you, the homeowner or the condo owner. So one of the simple tests we have is when you're visiting a home or a condo, go in, turn on all the faucets, flush the toilet, and see if there's water pressure. That's important in the long run. Again, seemingly trivial, but my goodness, I certainly love a shower with a lot of water pressure.